Welcome everyone to the 8th Celebrity Synastry chart reading, where I will be looking into Princess Diana and Prince Charles, then now King Charles III. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adeline. I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology, specifically Synastry. For those new and returning, I take notes on a Synastry chart looking at the personal planets, signs, house overlays, if birth time available, and aspects as well. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. And as always, leave your thoughts in the comments and let's get a discussion going. So if that sounds good to you, like, subscribe, and keep on watching. Starting off with the Sun, we have Diana's Sun in Cancer and Charles's Sun in Scorpio. Intimacy comes easily, deep and lasting attachment. Both value loyalty to each other. Easy for both to get attached to the other, similarities in temperaments, both have a need to deeply bond with others. Charles may see Diana as too sympathetic and sentimental. Okay. Diana's Sun in Charles's 12th house overlaid. Very different people, there's an atmosphere of mystery. Marriage is not possible. Yikes. Big yikes, gosh. They don't understand each other, no idea why they are together, another big yikes, really great so far. Diana finds Charles unpredictable, Diana sees Charles as exotic and strange. I mean, yeah, being a royal, it's a bit different, isn't it? Diana feels Charles doesn't approve of her. This is sad. Relationship requires a lot of patience and Diana is attracted to Charles against her good judgment. Oh, sweetie. Charles's Sun in Diana's 11th house. There's a friendly atmosphere, they accept their differences and are non-judgmental of each other. Relationship begins as a friend dynamic. I am not sure specifically. I know they were it was kind of an arrangement between those two for them to meet. I'm pretty sure that's how the story went. But I'm not sure, maybe they did have a friendship through their engagement, really. Charles sees Diana as someone he can spend time with. Okay. Diana's Sun, Trine Charles's Mercury. There's a good friendship and they have good communication. So I'm guessing, because it's hard to say whether they were, in love with each other, especially so far. But in, even in reality, I'm guessing they had more of a friendship dynamic, there wasn't much, romanticness in their relationship. Diana accepts Charles, they both just get each other. Diana supports Charles's beliefs. I'm guessing, I don't know what this could be. Charles technically, it's overshadowed by everything. I'm pretty sure he technically is a bit more liberal in some ways. Can talk through issues together. Diana gets what makes Charles tick. Diana admires Charles's intelligence. I find it really sad. There's a lot of Diana viewing Charles in a particular way. It's a lot of focus on how Diana feels so far. There's not much Charles and how he's feeling about Diana. They understand each other on a basic level. They solve problems together positively. Speak to each other with understanding. Diana allows Charles to express himself and she feels she can think better around Charles again. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of focus so far on how Diana feels about Charles and sort of her, really liking him. It seems really letting him be himself. Diana's Sun square Charles's Venus. Their views on the world clash. I assume, because yeah, we did see she supports his beliefs. It could mean that she, you support someone doesn't mean you necessarily agree with them. She probably wanted to make the marriage work, so she did, try to support it, but does she genuinely, agree with them? Who knows? Not as promising as it looks. Yikes, I hate seeing this. The not as promising as it looks, and some of the things in what we saw before, with marriage not being possible, they don't have any idea why they're together. I hate this. Love can easily turn into hate. Arguments over money are likely. Diana is selfishly ambitious in this relationship. Maturity needs to be reached for both to overcome difficulties. Charles strives to keep the relationship fair and balanced. I wonder if we'll see more of that. Both hope to find what they are looking for in the other. That's always good. They didn't exactly have that much of a choice, did they? Diana's sun sextile Charles's Saturn. It's a long-term relationship. I mean, I guess it kind of was, depending on what standards. They work on common goals together. Charles is dedicated and loyal to Diana. I assume because this, working on common goals together, maybe it's more related, in the public eye, he was, he had that image of being dedicated and loyal to her, and, dedicated to her in terms of, because I think it was a thing, what's it called, he married her because she was going to be a good, image for the family, she was going to, be a sort of good, I don't want to say colleague, that's a weird way of putting it, but yeah, a good, sort of work partner in the royal family sense, if that makes sense. They both feel they can rely on each other, they both feel a sense of commitment to each other. Yeah, I definitely feel they actually feel some sense of commitment to each other, they would have to. They can work together practically and business-wise. Diana's sun square Charles's Neptune. There's misunderstandings, delusions, and deception. I mean, yeah, misunderstandings definitely, because I feel in the public, I think it is the story that Diana was genuinely interested in Charles, and then Charles was kind of doing it for, publicity. But not publicity, but, for the public image of his family. They both glamorize each other. Attraction is based on appearance. Charles promises more than Diana. Diana believes Charles is a soulmate. I feel really bad for her. She seems to, genuinely have seen him in a good light. We haven't seen much of how Charles feels about Diana. Charles eventually disappoints Diana. Both need to be clear about expectations. Yeah, that should have happened. I don't know. It's just a messy situation, isn't it? Especially at the time they got married. I feel like that didn't make it any better. I feel like it would have been something different, would have played up if it was in the modern age. Charles plays up a soulmate role to please Diana. Charles's sun square Diana's moon. There's a basic misunderstanding, practical disagreements occur. I think we saw before they argue over money with practical things. Charles sees Diana as too sensitive and emotional. I'm pretty sure we're seeing again. I don't because I was mentioning, we're not seeing a lot of how Charles feels about Diana. I'm pretty sure this is only the second time, and it's both about her being a bit too sensitive and emotional. Diana sees Charles as too rational and selfish. I definitely see the selfish bit. Relationship of general discontent. Diana may feel resentful towards Charles over time, yet she seems to really have had a lot of hope in the beginning, and I'm pretty sure we're seeing this again, her losing sort of hope in him over time and Charles eventually disappointing her. Attraction only exists when tension and competition does. Charles's sun opposite Diana's Venus. Their values conflict. I'm pretty sure we're seeing again, they frustrate each other. Diana grows to resent Charles. We're seeing again, she in the beginning it seemed to be she seemed to view him in a good light, but over time she just, not into it anymore. Diana sees Charles as too dictatorial. I'm gonna assume because she kind of was marrying not only Charles, but his family. I assume this relates to the royal family as well. Charles needs to learn to accept Diana. Hard work is needed to make this work. I'm pretty sure we're seeing again that a lot of patience and hard work is needed for this relationship. Diana can resort to playing games with Charles. I don't like how accurate this is. I'm pretty sure that this did happen where she would do some things to sort of get his attention. I'm pretty sure that happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. Charles will either not appreciate Diana or take them for granted. A bit of both, I think. Charles's sun squared Diana's Uranus. Not predictable or stable. Separation occurs and causes strain. I wonder, I'm not sure exactly how their family setup was. All I know is that they're royals, they would kind of have to travel a lot for duties, particularly Charles. And Diana, I'm pretty sure she was very much a hands-on mother, particularly for a royal. So I wonder if he would go on trips by himself. I don't know if he was around with the kids a lot, but maybe that's a possibility. They would be separated at times and that would cause strain. Diana feels trapped by Charles over time. This really all like links together really well, doesn't it? Relationship can start and end suddenly. They cannot rely on each other in the long term. We also keep seeing like this is not a long-term relationship. Diana changes and challenges Charles's life. I think this would be in the sense where like she got more attention than Charles, especially like he was supposed to be the like you know, heir to the throne and everything. He was supposed to be like one of the most important figures of the royal family, and she got all the attention. I assume this is what it relates to. Charles initially finds Diana attractive and appealing. Now it's on to moon. So we have Diana's moon in Aquarius and Charles's moon in Taurus. Both are stubborn. Charles can help Diana connect to nature. This is all like really coming together well, because I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know like how much of nature this is considered, but Charles is very much into all the like outdoorsy activities in like the English countryside, so I assume this is what it relates to. Diana does not appreciate Charles's possessiveness. We keep seeing again, she feels trapped. He's too dictatorial. I'm gonna relate this back to his royal family as well. His family, which is the royal family. And they disagree on social matters. Diana's moon in Charles's 8th house. Charles can go deep into Diana's psyche. Charles can awaken Diana's inner demons. Yeah, I'm not really surprised. Diana will desire things in this relationship that are too taboo. They have a deep connection with each other. It's an emotionally nurturing relationship. I don't know if we're going to see that again. Who knows? Possibility for this relationship to bring out the darkness. Desire for the other is never satisfied. Interesting. This is a weird thing to throw in. This is a weird overlay to throw into this mix. Charles's moon in Diana's 4th house. It's a love-hate relationship. They have conflicting feelings of the other. I'm not surprised. Both feel deeply bonded to each other. They're competitive with each other like siblings. I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, with the whole attention issue, that is kind of like a sibling dynamic to have, to be competing with each other for attention of people. Charles may feel like a parent to Diana. I mean, she was like super young, wasn't she, when they like first met? She was like 16 and he was like almost 30, I'm pretty sure, like something ridiculous like that. Deep and tenuous relationship, and they both feel the need to spend time apart. Diana's moon sextile Charles's Mars. They're open with each other. Charles feels more assertive. Diana makes Charles feel at ease. Mutual fascination. Diana feeds into Charles's ego. I don't like seeing this. Both learn about themselves here. I'm not surprised. Can be tumultuous at times, also not surprising. Diana's moon trine Charles's Uranus. Both feel free to express themselves here. Charles is more open around Diana. There's a level of unpredictability, not really surprising with them being like royals and everything. And we saw like they feel the need to spend time apart, and there is a level of separation that occurs. Ideas of unconventional domestic setup bring them together. I mean, having a family in the public eye, you know, and it's expected, it's not even like a family channel, it's like it's forced upon them that they have to do that. Can cope with sudden changes together. Charles teaches Diana how to be more emotionally flexible. I think this will be more related to the royal family. Like, I know I'm bringing the royal family into this a lot, but I mean, Diana was like marrying into that institution. Charles feels safe around Diana. It's interesting how we're starting to see how Charles feels very secure around Diana. Enjoy talking about social issues, and mutual friends bring them together. I have no idea how they like first got together, so this could totally be true. I mean, they kind of did run in the same circles. Charles's moon sextile Diana's Mercury. Long conversation is frequent. They both feel comfortable being open with each other. It's really, now we're starting to see some positives in the relationship. It seems like they did have like a good sort of communication, you know, they like the friend dynamic. Mutual understanding, it's a friendship, like I said. They seem to have a good like friendship foundation, you know. They both like a busy environment. Good for them, I guess, with what they were stuck in. Both value the other's opinion and advice. Charles's moon trine Diana's Mars. Diana is interested in physical affection. We don't see Charles reciprocating that. Charles nurtures and feeds Diana's ego. Interesting how we're seeing from both sides they're feeding into each other's ego. Diana teaches Charles to be brave and confident. Interesting. They're instinctively drawn to each other. There's a mutual attraction. It's a lively relationship. Arguing is not uncommon. Both learn about their instincts and needs here. I think we're seeing this again, and it's just, not a great place to learn, this sort of type of marriage. Expressing feelings is spontaneous here. We're seeing already a few times how there seems to be a level of unpredictability and spontaneity to this relationship. Charles's moon square Diana's Jupiter. Tendency to be extreme and excessive. I assume this could be related to the money. Poor judgment can lead them to trouble. I mean, it's more of the people around them that let this go on, I feel like, with other people involved. Too optimistic as a couple, I am once again relating this to Charles's family. Both feel free with their emotions, failing to keep promises. We saw this on Charles's end before. Relationship about determining boundaries. Both will learn better judgment. We keep seeing this. They're gonna learn things like better judgment and what they need out of a relationship. Not the best way to do it, but Charles may become possessive of Diana. We see again. They meet in an optimistic way. It's sad because their meetings seem to have meeting of each other seem to be good, and then they got into a relationship with each other. Charles's moon square Diana's Saturn. Charles feels emotionally insecure. Possibility of an awkward relationship. Yeah, it kind of was, isn't it? Some of the footage of them together, it's a bit, Charles feels judged by Diana, and Diana sees Charles as needy and oversensitive. Charles's moon trine Diana's Uranus, which is, we see again, this is just flipped over and inverted. So Diana is more open around Charles, Diana feels safe around Charles, and Diana teaches Charles to be more emotionally flexible. Charles's moon trine Diana's Pluto. Intense meeting, I assume because there was a lot of expectations with the meeting, not only with Diana, because I'm not exactly sure of how they met, but with Charles meeting anyone, it would have been a high level of expectation, which I feel like would be intense. Both will need to let go of fake personas. There's a strong bond. They both bring truth and change in social and political areas together. I'm not sure what they did together. I know, themselves individually have done pretty contrasting things, but maybe they did some things together. I just wasn't aware. Involved in organizations together. Yeah, like the royal family. Can solve problems in the community, they can go through difficult times together, and they transform each other. So now we're into Mercury. We have Diana's Mercury in Cancer and Charles's Mercury in Scorpio. They both prioritize feelings and relationships. Both are sensitive and take things personally. Okay, so we saw mostly on Charles's end, he sees Diana as a bit needy and sensitive. But we also saw just then how Diana sees Charles in the same way. So they're both naturally a bit like that. Both are naturally nurturing, and they both understand the other's intuitive approach to life. Diana's Mercury in Charles's 11th house. Diana is open and communicative with Charles. We keep seeing that level of openness in this relationship as well. Diana sees Charles as a natural companion. I don't like seeing this in the whole soulmate thing as well. Charles finds Diana pleasant, and he looks forward to spending time with Diana. See, that's the weird thing in this. He seems to be pretty, tolerant of her. He doesn't seem to, dislike her. I don't think he was, seething with discontent that he was in this relationship at all. They're both tolerant and patient with each other. Charles's Mercury in Diana's 10th house. Hard to talk about things outside of goals and career. I assume this is related to it's hard to talk about things outside of the royal family duties or anything related to the royal family, because that would include their kids and everything. Possibly one-sided relationship. Yeah, I see that. We see, especially in the beginning, we saw a lot how Diana's very invested in Charles and views him very highly. And we haven't seen that much of how Charles feels about Diana, except he finds her pleasant but a bit sensitive. Diana may be fascinated by Charles. Diana tends to idealize Charles. Oh, sweetie. They're a public couple and may like to work together. Maybe they were, they did enjoy their sort of public, I don't want to say their public image, but like they found each other to be a good like companion for the public eye, if that makes sense. Both the Mercuries are trine together, so communication is easy and enjoyable, and they solve problems together in a similar manner. Enjoy learning from each other. We keep seeing the learning aspect of this relationship. There's a mutual understanding, and they hold similar views. I don't think I pointed this out yet. We do keep seeing how they seem to hold pretty similar views and like values in life. Their thoughts and ideas complement each other, and misunderstandings are unlikely to happen. That last one, I'm going to have to challenge. Diana's Mercury, opposite Charles's Jupiter, teach each other to expand their thinking, different philosophical views. So yeah, I literally just said, oh, like they share similar views. Yeah, I'm guessing if they share similar views on most things, but I mean, obviously we publicly know that some key things they didn't agree on. So it's totally possible, like, they were mostly there, but not 100%, which I feel like is the case with most people. They frequently interrupt each other. Diana sees Charles as too flippant. Mutual lack of understanding. Charles sees Diana as too rational. Strong but fragile mental and intellectual bond. This is an interesting way to put it, because we've kept seeing they have a strong bond, but it's like, where though? Like, it's just fragile. They need to accept the other's intellectual mindsets. Diana's Mercury sextile Charles's Saturn. Charles helps Diana focus. I'm pretty sure we saw before how Diana feels she can think better and more clearly around Charles. Diana feels she can learn a lot from Charles. I'm also going to take this as feels she can learn a lot from the royal family. They can solve problems together, and conversations tend to be dry, looking back to how they feel they can only talk about things within work or career or royal family for these two. Diana's Mercury conjunct Charles's Uranus. Charles challenges Diana's ideas and usual way of thinking. Diana truly understands Charles's originality. Interesting. They swap ideas together, and they're very creative together. They casually talk about taboos. We saw before that there was Diana wanted taboo things in the relationship, or had a desire to have a more taboo relationship. They grow intellectually together. We're seeing a lot now. There's a bit of an intellectual bond. Strong but fragile. Tend to be impulsive together. This is relating to their spontaneity and the sort of unpredictability of this relationship. Share an interest in unusual topics. They come up with original ideas together. They find uncommon solutions to problems. Relationship of strong mental stimulation. They both enjoy experimenting and trying new things. And relationship of discovering alternate ways of seeing the world. Once again, this seems to be a real, like, learning factor of this relationship. Like, they both really grew from this relationship. Charles's Mercury square Diana's Jupiter. Relationship that expands consciousness. Diana helps Charles go through hard times of optimism. We saw how Charles seems to really like Diana's emotional nature, or, like, feels safe around Diana. So, like, safe and secure around Diana, sorry. Promising war is a problem. We're seeing again. Habit of interrupting. I'm pretty sure we just saw this from Diana's side. Diana may come off as holier than thou. I think this will be relating to she was the bigger one in the relationships, in terms of she got the more attention and more publicity and everything. Diana's frustrated with Charles's analytical approach to life. There's communication difficulties. I think this would be anything more emotional or deeper, because they seem to have a good friendship bond and a good, like, sort of colleague type bond. Lack of understanding regarding each other's ideas. For some things, yeah. Strong mental and intellectual bond. Diana may play a role of prophet to Charles. Frequent misunderstandings. Debates can turn into arguments, and they have different philosophical views. So we keep seeing a constant thing of how they have different philosophical views. So I assume this is where their views and values really differentiate philosophically. Charles's Mercury conjunct Diana's Neptune. Inspire imaginative qualities in the other. Spirituality is an important part of this relationship. Telepathic-like connection. Charles helps Diana turn her dreams into reality. Interesting. Both can get into the habit of telling what the other wants to hear. Deceptive and exaggerative communication can be a problem. Charles may find Diana confusing. I'm not really surprised. I think we did see, like, there was the whole thing with Diana resorting to playing games with Charles. Poetic quality to their conversations. hard to talk about practical matters together. I don't think so. Diana may get annoyed if Charles's need to quantify things and compassionate towards each other. Charles's Mercury sextile Diana's Pluto. Share an interest in unique subjects together. We keep seeing they have an interest in like more quirky subjects and more taboo things together. Therapist-patient relationship. They get to the bottom of matters quickly. They share a lot together. Charles is fascinated by Diana's depth. Tell each other their deepest secrets. They both heal from past relationships together. Diana opens up Charles to new ways of thinking. Resolve deeper matters together. Diana appreciates Charles's humor and he uplifts Diana. It's sad how we see some glimpses of like positivity in their relationship. It just with how everything turned out, and especially with what we saw in the beginning. They have deep conversations together. So now we're on to Venus. So we have Diana's Venus in Taurus and Charles's Venus in Libra. These are both Venetian signs. Diana is paranoid that Charles is not loyal to her. I hate seeing this. Both need to learn to respect each other. Diana needs to learn to appreciate Charles's deep investment in the relationship. I mean, deeply invested, I feel like in terms of like duty, not love, I feel like. Charles does not feel intellectually satisfied by Diana. Charles compromises a lot with Diana. Agree on how to manage finances. They enjoy creating a comfortable life together. Both value harmony and peace. I mean, I feel like this will be in terms of they seem to be both more liberal-minded people. Diana's Venus in Charles's 11th house. Diana immediately likes Charles. We keep seeing she's very much like into him. Charles senses he can be himself around Diana. They're both open with each other. We see again. Both share the same social activities. Yeah, big part of the royal family. Both are comfortable with each other and they're good friends. We keep seeing this like good friends, you know, that they should have been friends. Is this one of those? Charles's Venus in Diana's 9th house. They've shared interests. They may share the same social circles. Yes, they do and did. They get along well. Diana is accepting of Charles. Charles has a positive and friendly approach to Diana and he teaches Diana how to have fun. Diana sees Charles as someone she has a future with. It's interesting how, yeah, we keep seeing like Diana sort of sees him as like a stable partner, a soulmate. You know, she really sees him very highly. So now we're on to Mars. We don't have any aspects for Venus, so now we're just moving on to Mars. We have Diana's Mars in Virgo and Charles's Mars in Sagittarius. Both are restless people. Diana has the tendency to be critical of Charles. Both like to experiment. I'm pretty sure we see this again. There's a bit of an experimenting nature to this relationship. Both are direct with each other. Charles enjoys having friendly debates with Diana. It's sad, like, there seems to be a good, like, friendship dynamic here, you know, especially friendly debates. Like, they both seem to share a lot of the same values and views on things, but they seem to contrast on a lot of things as well. Diana's Mars in Charles's 2nd house. Diana triggers Charles's possessiveness. Charles is more materialistic in this relationship. Diana is patient with Charles and she's also deeply sentimental with Charles, which she doesn't seem to appreciate that much. Diana treats Charles as an object. Interesting how we saw this, and I'm pretty sure earlier we saw that she is selfishly ambitious in this relationship. Charles tends to be more masculine in this relationship. So we have Charles's Mars in Diana's 1st house. Charles inspires Diana to be more brave. I'm pretty sure we're seeing again, like he inspired her to be more confident. We saw that before. Charles encourages Diana to be proud of who she is. Diana has a desire to seduce Charles. This is an interesting element we're adding to this relationship. Like, we just saw how she treats him as an object, and we saw pretty much early on that she's selfishly ambitious, and now we're seeing she has a desire to seduce him. Interesting. Diana's Mars, Trine Charles's Jupiter. Self-expression is encouraged. I'm pretty sure we're seeing again, they feel they can do anything together. Charles is okay with Diana asserting herself. In what way? Because we haven't seen that a lot, and Charles seems to have a very, like, fragile ego. Healthy competitiveness. We saw earlier they have that sibling-like competitiveness. They're able to have fun together. We're seeing again. Enjoy trying new things together. The whole experimental part of the relationship. I'm turning into a record player again. Shared interest in sports and travel. Charles helps Diana get out of her comfort zone. We keep seeing this. I'm glad we're seeing something good from Charles's end. Diana feels more energized by Charles and could possibly be a reckless relationship, and they're a lucky couple. I mean, financially, I guess, like in a lot of ways, they have a very secure life because of their positions. Diana's Mars conjunct Charles's Saturn. Diana sees Charles as controlling. We're seeing again for the billionth time. Diana respects Charles's wisdom. She tries to win Charles's respect. There's these glimpses. It's a very different reading. Like, we're seeing a lot of glimpses of hope, but also these glimpses of just like, it's just sadness because it's true. It's what we know. Both need to be considerate of each other and potential to be a good learning experience. It's very annoying. We keep seeing this learning experience thing. Like, I love learning from relationships and learning from your life experiences. However, like, with these two, because they, you know, being in the royal family, they were supposed to be, like, endgame. Not, like, it's not, like, a fun, young relationship you have, oh, and, like, I'll learn from this relationship for my next one, because they were supposed to be endgame, so it's just a bit awkward. Diana's Mars sextile Charles's Uranus. Enjoy exploring the unconventional together. We're seeing again for a billionth time. Possibly an open relationship. I'm gonna link this with possibly a one-sided relationship we saw earlier. Any guesses as to what this could be related to? Encourage each other's independence, a relationship of experimentation we're seeing for the billionth time. They both share humanitarian interests. We're also seeing again for the billionth time, I'm a record player again. Charles may sometimes make Diana anxious. Yeah, we saw before she was a bit paranoid, and rightly so. Charles's Mars trine Diana's Uranus. Charles feels free around Diana. We're seeing again, it's a turbulent relationship, not surprisingly. Diana helps Charles be more objective. There's an unusual meeting. I mean, yeah, like whatever the meeting was, like as we saw before, it was intense meeting. Like any meeting on Charles's end anyway, it's gonna, you know, it's a bit intense and unusual for like the normal human experience. Maybe an open relationship, we're seeing again. They respect each other's independence, and Charles is not a fan of Diana's lack of boundaries. I assume this is relating to like Diana didn't exactly follow the rules of the royal family, or like she was a bit feisty, you know. So that is the end of the reading. What an interesting read. Like, a lot of things were definitely confirmed, like the whole turbulent relationship, the fact that Diana seems to really value Charles, thinks of him very highly, and that drifted and sort of like waned over time. You know, Diana being paranoid about Charles's loyalty, that is very specific. And we saw a couple parts like of them having a bit of a work dynamic, a public relationship, so a lot of things were like very much confirmed. But there were also a lot of other interesting like tidbits. Like Charles kind of seems to like Diana. Like they seem to have a good, like on Charles's end, he seems to have valued his friendship with Diana. I don't think he hated her or anything like that. He seems to genuinely have viewed her as like sort of like a friend. I don't want to use like the word friends with benefits, but like, because it's a bit of a weird thing, because like the benefits are she acts like my wife for the public, like, so I don't want to use that terminology, but yeah, he seems to have really treated her as a friend, even though, you know, they were supposed to be a, you know, married couple for the public. And the other interesting aspect to this relationship I didn't really talk much about is Diana's intentions of this relationship. Like, we saw what she was selfishly ambitious, she has the desire to seduce Charles, and she treats Charles as an object, which I find really interesting, because like they did run in the same social circles. That's something else. We saw them being in the same social circles and everything. So I don't know if like, obviously, like, Diana wasn't throwing herself at Charles, but it's interesting we're seeing that, and, like, she sees him as a companion. Like, I wonder if she did have, like, the dream and sort of hope, like, she would have, like, sort of have a nice fairy tale lifestyle you know, I'm not sure, like, how this, you know, especially how this relationship started. Probably should have looked at that. But it's interesting we're seeing that aspect of Diana sort of, kind of, I feel like she kind of, I don't want to say she knew what she was getting into, because her being paranoid about Charles's loyalty and everything, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of, like, love in the relationship, and Charles eventually disappointing her. I don't feel like she really knew what she was getting into, but I mean, she was like 16 when they met or something. Like, I feel like she was a bit naive in that way you are when you're 16 years old. But yeah, it's just very, yeah, it's a very sad relationship, I feel like. I don't even know what to think of it, because it's, yeah, it's a lot, isn't it? That's something I should have also mentioned in the beginning, probably. I don't know what I'm going to title this reading, because at the time of this relationship, Prince Charles was Prince Charles, but now he's king, so I don't know. I'll see what I'll name this video, and I would really appreciate some feedback on that. But yeah, that is all from me today. I will see you guys next time. Bye!